The money is not something that you're born with. I don't think I have seen anyone who is crying because they see the leaves falling. I don't think there's any difference between the leaves and also money. The tree, yeah. If a lot of leaves fall down because of the rain, have you ever seen someone crying? Or have you seen the tree crying? Have you seen? You have not seen it, you'll never see it. But people, in that respect, it's worse than human beings are worse than animals or a tree. No tree dies shivering. But when people die, why is it that people they shiver? The leaves when they fall down, have you ever seen it trying to stick to the tree? And have you ever seen the green leaves again growing from the same leaf? And so if you do not if the heart is quiet, and also if the heart is rigid to the sense of I, and if you know the voidness, then it's actually nothing. And in that way, your agony and also your pain will disappear. Nowadays, people, also all of you, this is a closet I brought when I got married, and it's been 60 years after you got married. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to get married again? You have to leave things and carry on with your life. And if you don't, but if you try to dust them all at the same time, then it's too difficult for you at the time of death. So while living, you have to know that they are actually nothing throughout your life. Nowadays, people buy a lot of houses and they migrate, and I think, how is it that like if you migrate every year, and when you pack your things, then you get tired, so you try to get rid of many things, and in the end, maybe you will decide to keep only a few clothes. When I travel, and when I also saw some people at the lobby, I see like 50, 60 bags with the name tag. But when you die, how are you going to take all of them? So you need to observe things that way, and then only your attachments will start falling off, and you become comfortable. And only if your greed falls off, it will become silent, and you also feel comfortable. If that doesn't disappear, then it's very cumbersome, and the object of your attachment, and that object that doesn't stay the same, it will also go through changes and disappear. Why is it so? Because that also does not have its form. Once it disappears, and you know that it is actually nothing. While observing just like that, your karma will start to disappear. But the obligations that we follow here, we have kind of restriction. But when we do the samatha, and when you know that that's something futile, and when you leave your hurt, then you know that that is actually not very meaningful. You need to know that. Isn't it so? You didn't answer at the back. Uh, the three people over there did not answer. So when you are able to observe, even looking at the autumn, when it is spring and when it's very rich in summer, we are also knowing that the autumn is also come. We don't want to acknowledge that winter is coming, but we see the leaves falling, and we also know that the winter is finally here. You have a lot of gray hair. You have white hair just like a snow-capped Himalayan mountains. The small car named Tico, it was running at 140 km per hour on highway because it did not want to look like a Tico. So that small car ran very fast in order to look like a Granger. In order not to look like a snow-capped mountain, you cannot do anything about the wrinkles. And in order not to show the wrinkle, you try to get the buttocks, but then you cannot do anything about the side. So life is very futile. There's not much thing to shed tears, and there's not much thing to be attached to. That's why when you're living now, you have to live your life in a proper way, then your next life will become better. But if you only commit sins in order to live good this life, then even your next life will not be any better. And when over here, there isn't anyone who is like a Cleopatra or like Chonjian. I don't think we have anyone. Raise your hand if you were very pretty, if you're more pretty than Chonjian in your when you are young. If you think you're prettier than Young-e, raise your hand. Even when you are young, maybe you had a little more fair skin, but still you are the same. But then if you look at it, it seems like you haven't done much to look pretty in this life. And especially you. Because she accepted that she's not pretty to look at. The modori is a little better than okdolme. Okdolme is a soybean paste that fell from 10-story building down to the ground, and modori is a sharp stone which has not been rounded. So if you look at it closely, Kim Hong-guk was came as a guest star when I was having the Buddhist television, and he had a mustache, and he was only making stupid jokes. So so I thought he was very ugly, but when I saw him in person, he wasn't so. There was something in him that he could sell himself with just one song, the song titled Butterfly. And if I make fun of him that he only has one song, one popular song, he says he also has a song Wang Li, but still he was able to make his living with only one song. You think he's ugly, but he wasn't so. When I asked a camera producer, he said the angle on camera, he said the face that is shown on TV is not very simple. And if we go on television, then it will be worse for us. So honestly, the things that we need to have attachments or be attached to, there's nothing other than the God or Buddha. Just that Buddha, as a teacher, he has shown us our way, and we respect him and we follow him. But you should not be attached to him in the sense that you're clinging on to him. Don't do that. You all know it too, right? If your husband says, "Follow me, I will show you the road to enlightenment," can you trust him? When when you are about this age, whatever your husband says, you will not trust him. Even if he says, "I will not drink," you don't trust him anymore. If he says that I will come home directly without drinking, but you say, "Oh no, let us see what when you come here. I'll come early tonight." Maybe your husband said that without any thinking, but actually in other way, it's almost like come home earlier and prepare me some food, but then you don't do anything. Uh, and then when he comes home, you ask, "Why did you come late?" And then your husband might also say, "Oh, did I say I'm going to? Did I say I'm going to come home early?" He also forgot that. So because he did that, just like with the, you cannot give him freedom. And when he says that he's going to give you the freedom, you cannot trust him. And if the God is so omniscient, then when he's alive, he should have shown him the heaven when he was still alive. So you cannot say the God is omniscient. If he had shown him the heaven when he was alive, uh, how will there be anyone who doesn't trust him? But they say you have to die to see the heaven. So that is not, you cannot say that's omniscient. If he is, then he can just say that the world is going to turn into heaven, and if that's possible, how good will it be? But that is not possible. So Buddha said, and Buddha knows his strength, and he said, "I am not omniscient. I am just a teacher who can show the way, but you have to take your own actions. And arriving to heaven, that's something you have to do. But if you don't do it, and I cannot just say that I have the strength to take you to where you wish to be. Even the bean seed, it has to grow on its own and bear its own seed. No one else can do it for no one else can do it for it. Isn't the logic isn't the logic true? So even the law of Buddhism, it is same as with other teachings or other studies. It is similar to method of other studies. Even other studies, it has to have a good platform. Our study is not complete only with going to elementary school, but if you don't go to elementary school, you cannot go to university. If our educational system is so, then we can just get a doctoral degree. So spend your time playing with your mother ever since you're young, and about 30, just apply for the doctoral degree when I get it. Is that something that's possible to happen? If that's something possible, then there will be something very funny. And in that way, we will not even have one doctor. It is same if there is no basic study, but if you can attain enlightenment, you don't even know where you are standing, and they follow the wrong ideas. So amongst the methods, let's think about this way. I just want to go to high school. I do not want to go to elementary school or middle school. I don't even want to go to college. It's just something that's possible, and they will not even take you from high school. So even amongst our different subjects, because I like maths, I'm only going to take maths. No, it's not possible. In countries like Canada, if you fail below 70, then you will have to go through tutorial, and your class teacher will arrange the tutorial for you. Because if you fail less than 70, then if you go to higher grade, then each time you go to a higher grade, it will fall 10 to 20%. And if you just leave your current score, then you will not be able to understand what you're learning at the next class. Therefore, they make you do extra studies, and in about 3 to 5 years, and if you go to high school, then the grade for the subject might fall below 30. Your middle school second grade 70 grade can become 30 when you go to high school. And that's why Canada, when you had the Winter Olympics, I heard it when I was listening. The announcer said there are many college students who are skiing, and there was examination time. And because it was examination time, the national player, they could not come to the game. For us, the president might say, please give a little score, and you don't have to go to military too. Even if the college professor says, head of the college or president says it is totally the right of the professor, the president cannot increase the score. And if the student misses about one month class, the student cannot get the desired score, and president cannot do anything with the person's life. So when they wanted to participate, they were advised that if you have the confidence that you can do anything about it, you have right to participate. And I think that is a very stable national system. Inside the classroom, the professor, for teaching the students, principal or any other administrative part, or even president or even parliament, they are just additional mechanisms, and they're not direct mechanisms. The teacher, have the every right, and since the teacher is taking the responsibility, and And if the school fails, then they don't say go to another tutorial class, but the class teacher does it for you, or does it for the student. Just like that. Even the practice, the stages, you have to follow one by one, and the basic has to be done in a very proper way. It's the same thing with the building the house. Everything has its own order. So first carpenter, and then comes the one who makes the roof and the door. If everyone comes together and try to do it simultaneously, it is not possible. And even when the order is opposite, that is also not happening. When the walls are not done, how can you make the roof? You cannot do that. Just like that. Even the practice, don't think in a rush way, but one by one that you are doing it, you have to think it that way. If you're doing it in hurry, you have planted the bean farm, but the son feels very bad about mom working on the farm. So if the son says, "Oh, mom, I don't think you have to work so hard," but no, I haven't. But when the beans have grown a little, I have pulled them a little so that they grew faster. But they all died because of his action. So even study at that stage, the next stage, to the next stage. It has to progress. You cannot take a great leap at one step. Just like the Yongdusan park, Yongdu Mountain Park, you cannot go 100 something steps at one step. So when you practice samadhi and vipassana, and because we tell you the vipassana and samatha, you think that's the only thing, but you need to have the proper perspective by looking at the sutras, and also you need to follow the regulations. If that's not done, then it also is very difficult. I didn't have time to wash my face this morning. It's okay, right? I was very busy doing something. I was trying to clean the leaves that has fallen, and it was stuck there. So, and also there was someone coming from our monastery, so I had a little tea with them, and pull it a little that way. So. I look fine even though I didn't wash my face, right? Well, is it obvious that I didn't? I'm a little. I hope there's nothing on my face. That's almost like the teacher of outside doctrine, Udrak. Udrak spent a lot of time practicing samatha, and he attained the state where he could be in samatha for a long time. So if you practice that, then you are able to maintain the state of samatha. But one day, when he was in a deep meditation, one rat started eating his hair, and when he woke up after some time, he saw that the rat was eating his hair, and Utrak suddenly lost his consciousness and began to show his angry. Those those aesthetic practitioners, the moment that they start with their aesthetic practice, they don't even wash their hair and they don't even cut their hair. And Buddha also hasn't done that for 6 years. And so since he was sitting down the Bodhi tree, the birds, and the seeds, the the grass also started growing from his hair. But those practitioners, even when the leaves grow and even if your hair started becoming messy, even when we went to Bodh Gaya this time, one of the sadhu from Hinduism, he had a lot of things on his face, different red, yellow colors, and he had very long mustache, and even hair was so long, and he tied around, and he was carrying some stick, and he came to bow in front of Buddha. They feel great pride with their long hair. But English gentlemen and also during the Joseon dynasty, the loyal families, they used to wear a very big kind of hat. So because it was so big that not more than 3 people could sit in a room. And even the cigarette, the stick, because they're wearing such a long sleeve cloth, and also the cigarette stick was so long, so that, and also they were walking in that manner. But those people, they thought the bigger the cap, the hat is, they thought they are more loyal. So they were of the higher status, and so when they tried to prostrate, their head could not even meet the ground. And so the Wongan was so angry, and because their pride, it is wrong for them to show their pride in that way. So they cut it, and it became like a small cap. And Buddha was worse. Buddha said, do not wear the hat. And if you want to show your pride with your hat, but in olden time, the hair and the hat that they wear showed your status. So when the Buddha said, do not wear the hat, they started showing things with their hair. They grow their hair, they tie their hair at the back with a big ponytail, or they palm their hair, or make a parting with 2:8. And since we do so many different things with our hair, Buddha asked us to shave our hair. So we have nothing to do with the bald hair. But those aesthetic practitioners, for them it is something to show off because they've done it for so long. But imagine how angry will it be because a mouse ate of all of them. So even those people following, but even in olden times, those people, when they were wearing the kat, the Korean traditional hat, and they had such a long tie for the hat, but imagine the horse hair is used to tie the head. And imagine if someone takes it, if the rat eats that, then they would have burned it to catch the rat. So that's to protect the self-pride or self-satisfaction that is not even there. So with the interruption of your privacy or self-pride, they argue, how dare you challenge me? But the rat has nothing to challenge you. It's just that the hair is protein. So the rat should have eaten it to get some protein, or maybe the rat's teeth was a little itchy. If you really want to have the self-pride, then you could have gone around. Udrak could have gone around with the hair that's half gone, and people might really respect him. Once I heard someone that they paid about $100 something to do the hair because it was going somewhere else the next day. But in the evening, if you use the pillow, then the hair gets a little messy. So, and if you sleep in the front, and even the front was getting messy, then how do you have to sleep? The person sat and slept. If it was me, I would have given up the hair and slept. And if someone had messed up the hair, then the person should have gotten so angry. By showing the anger to the rat, first try to catch the rat, and so try to hit the rat with the stick. But it seems like the rat went inside the hole in the house and couldn't take out the rat, and so Udrak burned the whole house. I think this is a real story, real life story. It's either that you do not practice a meditation, or you should not get angry. When we are practicing our samadhi, then it means that we are trying to calm it down. Can you say this person has actually practiced? Once someone told me in Korea there's someone who is sitting all the time. So the person was known as someone some very famous practitioner. But people who are suffering from paralysis, we can say they have also attained the state of the ascetic practitioner. But even Udrak, he went a little deeper state, but because of his hair. So you can know that the agony doesn't disappear. When he was in samadhi, the agony that has suppressed with his samadhi woke up with his anger, or when he went away from the meditation. So Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Be quiet. If you want, at times like that, it's either that you do not do the Om Mani Padme Hum, or you do not say be quiet. This shows. This is an example that shows. This is an example that shows the contradiction when you only practice the samatha. So after listening to this, you have to think about it in depth, and you will know that just with the practice and meditation, things are not going to happen. So you need to follow the regulations, the Buddhist order, and you need to read the mantras, and you need to have a proper thought. And even the practice of samatha has to be done properly, and With the proper perception, you have to observe the object, and with the dependent arising and the voidness, things are arising. If you start viewing things in that way, then your agony will start to disappear. One by one, quietly, they will start sinking down, and you will also have the potential to observe things in silence. And with that, if you only go to meditation center for a long time, and if you only practice for yourself, then just like all other old monks here, because they do not have the vipassana, they cannot teach properly. And even on the podium, at the podium, they are reading out their script. With only this one camera, I can talk the whole day. If I observe with the camera, then even I can still do the teaching the whole day. Observing the selflessness in detail, and if you practice your own, then this is the cause for the stage of attainment. And with any other thing, with any other cause, you cannot attain the state of samatha. So if you do not have the samatha of observation samatha, then the things, they do not break. So you need to classify the selflessness carefully. By studying them carefully and by knowing what is wrong and what is right. And with the samatha, when you observe, you need to know what is egolessness. And therefore, with the vipassana and also the wisdom of analysis, if you observe the selflessness, you can attain the enlightenment. And through the observation of selflessness, if you observe properly, then you will start seeing the reality, and in that process your attachment will disappear and your agony will disappear, and your practice will get stronger and you can attain enlightenment. And there is no other method other than this in order to gain enlightenment. So there is no other method to be free from suffering. It is written that in Bodhisattva Tripitaka that whoever it is, without listening to the divisor and also the holy Vinayana of Bodhisattva Tripitaka, and who only satisfies with samadhi, because of the arrogance, they will fall into the haughtiness because of their self-ego. This is very the Tripitaka is a Vinayana, and it's written there that Buddha's teaching his direct disciples. This time, when I went for pilgrimage in Wangsasong, I went to the seventh cave for the first time. I knew that it was there, but it takes a long time to go there, so I always couldn't go. And I always visited other places and left that place. And so I went through the spring water, and it took me about 1.5 hours. The road was very steep, and this time I could go. Buddha's
그
disciples,
내용을 갖다가 거의 다 이렇게 지금 말씀하시는 것은 다 기억을 못하는
there are
그런
times
것이고
when they don't
그
remember
말씀과
what
같이 시로서
he
간증해
says,
준
but
거 이것은 다
what he what he
기억을
has
해야
spoken, but
나에서
they all
깊숙하게
remember what he
그 기억을
spoke in the
다 되살려서
form of
그때 주님께서
poetry,
이렇게
and
계시록을
they all
말씀하시니까
remember that.
그냥 직접 이렇게 말씀으로
At the
그때
time, there
메모기도
was no recording
했는데도
device,
다
but
종이도
there was
없고
no
그냥
paper,
메모해서 된
but
것도 아닌데 다
they
외운다.
still remember.
왜 그렇게 했겠느냐?
And why is that
주의
so?
말씀을 듣지 않고 경도 보지
Without listening
않고
to Buddha, and if you don't even read the sutras, then how will you know what is it that Buddha has taught us, and what are the methods?
그래서 뭐라 그러셨냐면 그냥 하면 된다는 거야.
They just say, if you do it, it's going to happen. But what can you do just like that?
그러니까 어떤 사람들은
So some people,
구체적으로 듣지도 못했으면서
although they have not heard precisely the teaching method, but they are claiming to study. And when I ask them what kind of sutras are you reading, they say, is there anything to read? They are all a method of destroying Buddhism.
아주 나쁜 짓.
And that's also a very bad thing.
지적을 하는 경에 지적을 해요. 또 몇몇은 성스러운 율계의 내용을 듣지 못했으면서.
And also, some of them, they have not been able to hear the Holy Vinayana.
부처님께서 어떻게 수행하고 어떤 마음을 갖고 어떻게 살아라는 것을 갖다 구체적으로 수행 방법을 듣지도 못하고.
They have not heard how Buddha has lived and what are the things that Buddha said do and don't.
그것도 몰라.
They don't even know that part.
특히 신도들은
And especially the believers, they don't know anything. And they just believe that they just have to go to a holy mountain and pray. If you do that, that's not the proper way to study. 30 years, 40, 50, 70, whole your life, even if you do that, you won't be able to step out foot inside the way. You will not be able to take a step apart. If you think samadhi is only enough because of the ego, some might believe that only the meditation is necessary, and if you only recite mantras, that could be satisfying. But that is not so. For 45 years, why do you think Buddha has taught us? And why do you think disciples made the script for 80,000 Korean Tripitaka? And if you think we don't even need the sutras or Vinayana or even Sastra, then Buddha would have said that you don't need to do anything, but you just have to you just have to recite the mantras. Then that would have done everything. Why Buddha has spoken about 45 years? Buddha could have just encouraged people to recite the mantras. Even all of you, when you go to school, to do the arts, you need the crayons, and you also need the paper and pencil. And if you do that, then there will be a lot of things in your bag. And so since you're hungry, you also take your lunchbox. Just like that. When you say we are following the ascetic practice, that's because our habits are not simple. Our thoughts are full of greed, and we are only trying to live our life looking for my contentment. And we have lived our life as with our greed. And we also have to know what are the things that we need to practice furthermore, and what are the things that we need to stop. And how will it be possible without looking or studying sutras? And also our habits or actions which are harsh, we need to stop them. Some of you might think that we might only have to practice samatha and that's the end, but that is not so.
한꺼번에 같이 해가야
You have to do them all together at the same time. Then only the agony of your karma will start decreasing, and at one point of time, you will see them gone.
안 된단 말이에요. 그래서
That's why
딱 사마타 수행만 해서 딱 앉아서 내가
only the
깨달았다
practice
그러면
samatha,
내가
if the person says they have gained enlightenment, then that is not actually gaining enlightenment, but that is like a mental sickness.
그래서 생로병사
Life, age, sickness, and death, sadness, suffering, also worries. You won't be able to get away from them completely.
어떤 그 우울증 같은 비통,
Even
그다음에
things like
상실,
depression,
우울증이란 말이에요. 고통
suffering,
일어나는 것, 불안한 마음.
and also the feeling of instability and distraction. You won't be able to step away from it. You won't be able to step away from the transmigration and also the pile of suffering. And Buddha has spoke for the good of them.
그것에 대한 가르침을 듣는
It's
것이
better,
노사에 벗어나는
and by listening to teaching, they will help you. They will help you free yourself from aging and death.
그 대승의 호살
So in Mahayana,
차근차근 드러나가는
in Mahayana, the study of Bodhisattva, and if you study them, and if you follow them, and if you also follow the teachings,
해 나간다면
and if you practice them,
그런다면 번뇌가
then you can cure the agony. That's what Buddha has said.
따라서 진연한
Therefore, suchness and also self-entity, you need to listen carefully to their description, and you also have to practice them. That will free you from the suffering. And by cutting down all the karma, and if you gain pure wisdom, then you can attain the status of samatha, and you also have to practice wisdom, which is
정해쌍수라는 것이나 정원 선정 사마타이고 해는 관을
which is vipassana. Here,
보조국사가 지관쌍수라고 하지 않고
Buddha did not say it was
바꾸어서 이제 부른
it's just the wordings, but basically the meaning is same. Jigansangsu means Samantha and also Vipassana at the same time, but there's just a difference in wordings.
그래서 정해사라는 정해 결사, 지관쌍수의 결사 그런데 사실 보조국사께서 지관쌍수 그렇게 했지만
Although Bojoguksa has spoke about the Samatha and Vipassana, but people at the later age, if they make a little mistake, then there can also be errors. Because when he was teaching about the Samatha and Vipassana, he should have also spoken about the precepts or disciplinary rules.
그 개정의 수행.
It is actually a practice of the disciplinary rules.
자략 그러니까 예비 수행에 관한 얘기들을 갖다 보조국사도 좀 너무 간단한.
Bojoguksa, even when he was speaking about the prior discipline rules, he also spoke them in a very simple way. But there is a need to be a little more detailed. When he called about the desert of the disciplinary rules, the Jinok, Venerable Jinok, it is actually correct in terms of theory, but with the Samatha and Vinayana, Venerable Jinok started his practice from at the age of 4 until 24. How many years is that? 16 years. Just like Tibet. So
어린 나이에 들어가서 8살에 들어가서 다 다 외우고
He went at the age of 8 and he started memorizing, and after gaining
20살에
10,
다 아주 정식 절차에 의해서 딱딱딱 그렇게 하셨네요.
he followed the right method. He practiced the right studies.
이제 경 배우고
So you need to study the sastras first, and you need to practice the disciplinary rules, and then practice samatha and vipassana. And he actually followed the right methods,
함부로 그냥
the right stages. He has not studied on his own, and that is actually the teaching of Buddha.
하겠다 그런 얘기는 그건 전혀 맞지 않는 얘기야. 나는 뭐 아이고 어쩌단가 연불만 그냥 부지런히
Some might say, it should be good enough with the reciting mantras, but there is something more than that.
나는 뭐 연불만 부지런히 뭐 딴 게 있단가 뭐 법회라고 해서 뭐딴 건가.
If you ask, is there something special about the teachings, then you should know that there is something special. Because of that simple thought,
딴 곳으로 돌아보는 게
you are turning 1,000 ways away from the right path because of one wrong thought.
이제 그 다음 페이지
So the next page, wisdom.
다음에 하도록
Let's read next class.
이 까밀라실의 수습 이 차제
Kamlashilas, the stages of practice, the Kumlim Parpa.
여러분 입보로 행론
The way to Bodhisattva, you have it too. Those two things, especially the stage of practice of Kamlashala, after reading this,
입보로 행론의 그 얘기를 갖다 잘 깊이 있게 이제 자꾸 보시고
you also have to read and also recite the teachings written in the way to Bodhisattva. The more you read, you'll be able to see more. So I hope you pay a little more attention and time reciting and studying them. This time,
인터넷으로 보신
those who study on internet, I'm sure you have seen it. You saw the teaching,
대답이 하나
the answer 1, 2, about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 answered. Raise your hand. Who answered?
하나
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
다 바짝 들어 하나
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
일곱 명이던데 여섯
6.
또한
One
명
more answered.
일곱 명
7.
대답한 사람이 딱 일곱 사람이니까 내가 대답에 열 사람밖에 안 와요 그러면 나는 짐작이 있어서 열 사람이라고
When I
얘기했는데
ask why only 10 people answer, I'm saying it because I am sure. I think, and today 7 answer. I'm not saying it as a joke, but why didn't you see it? I think the message was also sent that is going to be broadcasted.
예? 컴퓨터로도 돼 스마트폰도 되고
You could also see it from your computer or smartphones.
아니 시간 딱 아침 8시면 우리 시간으로
If it's 8 o'clock Indian time, it is 11:30 Korean time.
여축 없이 11시 반에 3시간 시차가 있잖아.
It's 3.5 hour time difference.
지금 또 다 올려져 있어.
Even now, it's already
다
uploaded.
올려져 있으니까 지금 봐도 돼.
So you can also look at it now.
뭐라고? 좀 물어봐. 뭐라고 치면 돼?
Ask him what to type.
인터넷에 석천사
Online, just type Sakchan Monastery.
그 옆에 별표 있는데 그 하나 깔으면 스마트폰에 깔으면 그 석천사
And if you,
그 안에
for the smartphones, you will be able to have the separate page for Sakchan Monastery.
글로 들어가서 보면 그대로 보이고 다 볼 수 있게 그래서 이번에 제일 많이 들어온 날은 몇 명이 들어왔어요?
You can see them all. How many people came?
1,500명 들어와서 봤대.
I heard 3,500 people came and watched that. So after the teaching, 12:10,
3시 여기 40분에
3:40 Korean time.
그 가사 불사 전달하는 거
We have
그대로 다 본 사람들은 그냥 그대로
we gave
안에
the
전달하는
clothing
그대로
for the monk robes, and those who have seen, you should have known.
불교 협회를 통해서 알아보니까 나중에
In Ladakh,
받아보니까
after I received the list first, Net
고
Chungkutenla said about 2,500 people.
협회를 처음 전화해서 물어보니까
But when we asked the Buddhist Federation there, they said about 1,700 people. But later, when we came to know,
한 2,700명
there were actually 2,700 monks there.
그리고 이제 스피티에
And in Spiti, we thought about 500 people, but
그게 명단을 다 받고 보니까 한 650.
after the list, we came to know that it is actually 650.
그래서 이제 우리 고산 처사님이 해주신 거랑 해가지고
So with the donation from Busan,
2,000명을 하고
we gave all to 2,000 people, and
환율이 달러가 우리 환율 돈 가치가 떨어지면서
since our Korean won depreciated,
달러가 이렇게
the dollars
올라갔어.
increased, inflated. There was inflation, and so we lost about 10,000 US dollars.
금방 바꿔서 이렇게 한 거. 금방 달러가 쌀 때 사놨으면 한 60원, 70원 정도 이익을 볼 수 있었을 건데 이제 그게 안 되고
Because of the difference in the currency rate, we lost some money, and it was a little sad because we could have given to more people, and we were not able to give to everyone there.
2,000명 해주고 1,350명 정도가
We could only give to 2,000 people, and for next year we still have 1,300 months remaining.
쭉
This year,
하시고 싶은 분들이
those who wanted to donate,
조금씩이라도 계속 그 통장을 하나 개설해 놓을 테니까 별로
if you can, we will open a bank account, and we will just
한 5개월 전에 이제 또 공지도 하고
and we will keep receiving donations, and maybe it's also good that maybe we will also make a notice about 5 months before, but we will just continue with the savings account. And
50명이라 그러지만 1,500명
it's not given to everyone, but I think in the most extreme
계획을 하고 이제 해놓은
poor places, we were able to give them our
1,200명, 2,500명,
donations, and
1,500명 그러면 뭐한 6,700명, 한 7,000명 정도 전체
in total we also
한 것이 된다.
in total it seems like we have donated monk robes, about 7,000 monk robes. And to the coldest place, -20 to -30 degrees Celsius, Bhutan, we do not have to do anything because it seems like we don't have to give them donations because they also have their country and their clothing is also fine. Also because Nepal also has a country, but Ladakh, although they have the country, because it is very extreme place in India, and also Spiti, since it is also a very remote place,
참 어렵게 돼 있고 그래서
they also live a very difficult life there. And but after or in overall, I think everything went just fine, and also the teaching.
오신 분이 한국 사람까지 합해서 한 6,700에서
About
6,800
6,700 to 6,800 people came, including Korean people, and this is from the number of the entry ticket, not kind of ticket, the ID card.
출입증 발행한 거고 한국 출입증 발행.
And when we calculated the name card given to the people who have actually attended the teaching, it was that count, and we were able to complete the teaching in a good way. And our team, we went to 7 major pilgrimage places, and
24년 동안 그거 계실 거다. 24 안그로가 다 안그로 그어서 지내실 거다. 그래서 부처님 열애향실에서 부처님께서 지내시던 빵이
And
지금도 그대로 보면 위에 지붕이나 이런 건 없지만 다 돼 있잖아요. 그 안에서
We could also go to the
누워서
we could also go to the
이제 실대 성지를 쭉 가면서 이제 기도하고
기원정사
법회하고 해서
where Buddha spent 24 years there in Jetava,
전체적으로 이제
Jetavana Vihara. We could go to Vihara place and see where Buddha spent his life there. The time was very limited and also our money was very limited. So it was very, but living such a difficulty and limited thing is a good thing. If we had more money and if it's actually good that we did not waste it and
이제 바짝 신경 써서 이렇게
everyone tried their best to
됐고 달라이라마께서
do with whatever we had and everything went just fine. And Dalai Lama, because he's 80 years old, he had some problem with the knee.
한방
And
약을 좀 지어오면 되겠습니까?
when I asked if I could bring some medicines,
사람이 약 먹으라 그래서 먹어보니까 안 나.
but he said a lot of people asked me to eat medicines, so I did, but it wasn't.
실험 대상이 하면 돼.
But it wasn't curing me. If you buy me that medicine, I will be the object of your experiment.
잘안 낫는 것이 안 낫습니다. 그 무릎 수술을 하시면 어쩌냐면
It's not easy to cure them, but what about doing operation? And he said, I will review this. So his knees is a little uncomfortable, but but other parts of his bodies are just fine. And he would sit for 4 to 5 hours and for 4 to 5 days, he would meet people in the morning and afternoon. But if possible, he restrained himself from meeting people in the afternoon to take rest. So next year,
이어서 계속 해야 되겠다.
the teaching should be done continuously, and
명쾌.
his sayings are very clear. If I
수 없는 상황이 됐거나
if I'm in a position which I can't, or if you are in a position which you can't attend,
법이 필요하지
or
않은
if
상황이
the time comes, we'll only stop it if we do not need to study the Buddhism anymore. But if not, there's no other way. There's no other reason to stop it.
필요한 중생에게는 언제든지
To those who need Buddhism, the teaching, even if he's facing that, he will still give the teaching.
의지나 원력이
So you can see his desire and also his motivation is so great.
법회는 여러 이제 가사불사나 여러분들이
So the Bancroft donation and also the teaching, as you have paid all your attention, everything went just well, and even the teaching went just fine.
한국에
And also I am happy because in Korea it was being broadcasted
또 의외로
live, and it seems like there were about 3,500 people who came to look the live, and I felt it was a great thing, and I still want to continue with it. Whatever it is, I am very grateful and thank you very much. I'm not able to tell you individually, but I have sent message to everyone. If you haven't got it, it's a problem with your device.
그러나 이제 또 공개석상에서
Although I have sent a message, but I want to take time to thank you in person officially. So thank you very much.
뭐 이제 역경 28, 29를 여러분 좀 개인 일이 좀 바쁘시더라도
Although you have something busy going on, if you could please attend the seminar on 28th and 29th, because it's the beginning stage.
알려지지도 않았고
It's not well known to people outside, and also
중요하고
since the translation business is also very important, it's not good if it's too empty. So if you can, please come and
이 역경이라는
fill up the seminar hall, and also please also have the thought that uh,
8시쯤
this translation business will be also needs a hard work to make it successful. We need to start early morning, and we have rented about seven condominiums there.
가서 이제 주무시고
So you can sleep there, and the evening meal is already prepared at the reception hall.
뒷날 아침
And the next morning, you need to take care of it yourself. And those who are coming back on the same day,
버스가 돌아오면 되니까
the bus can come back to drop you.
지내시고 뒷날까지 보시고 부산에
But if you have time, then please sleep there one night, and you can also go to see other temples.
같이 이렇게 미리 얘기를 해줘야지 예상 안 된 인원이라는 것은
But you need to tell them
촬영 준비
before, so that we can also prepare for the vehicle and also the accommodation.
이용자 부사를 하고
So please tell
사무실에
the office
인원수가 좀 명료하고 명확하게
before
그렇게 해주시면 좋겠습니다.
before we depart.
그래서 이제 그또
말씀을 해주셔야 통도 예약하는 거를 변경을 할 수가 있고 중국 스님한테는 어떻게
Also, you have to tell before, then only we can make addition to the condominium reservation.
그러니까 이제 그냥 못 가시는 분은 확실하게 그냥 아닌 것으로 딱 해야지 하면서
So if you cannot attend, then you need to make sure, you need to decide, because you cannot just change your mind on the same day.
중요하니까 내가
That is not the promise.
해봐야 알겠고 그러면서 저 뭐야 세계 다른데 순례를 여행을 가면서도 세상에 우리
Even when you go for a pilgrimage to some other country, I heard that to the Silk Road, two people decided not to show up, and that's a great loss for the travel agency.
아니고 그러면서 그날 빠지는 이유가 가만 들어보니까 무슨 이런저런 별로
And the reason why they decided not to show up was
중요한
not very important.
그날 빠져버린 사람이 그러니까 그거는 약속하는 것에 대단히 대단히 진짜 그좀 비인격적이다.
That is not a good manner, because it's causing loss to other people. The travel agency has to pay for the flight and also the accommodation.
뭐냐면 어디까지 해놨느냐면 순례를 하잖아요. 그러면 순례 방까지 다 해놓은 거야.
They have made the reservation to all the pilgrimage, the accommodations, train, hotel,
다 해놓은 거야.
for everything.
그 졸업 다 취소돼야 돼.
All of them have to be cancelled, but of course you cannot cancel them, and you have to pay for everything.
사람들 완전히
And so the travel agency had to pay for two people.
자기 의사를 갖다 분명히 밝혀놓으면 거기에 대한 약속을 지키려고.
If you have made decision, then it's good that you try to keep up with your promise.
그때 가기 전에 기도 입제 안내문을 보냈거든. 와서 할 시간이 좀 없어서 했더니 뭐하고 같이 들어갔는가 그건 안 봤대.
I had given another notice for something else before I went to India, but it seems like
기도 입제는 그냥
this wasn't distributed.
다들 그렇게 생각하고 있는 거야. 그래서 이제
Seems like people are not aware that this is happening. So
초하룻날
on the first lunar calendar day,
때까지 이렇게
until for
같이
a few days, we'll be praying with you. So until then, please, it will be grateful if you can pray with them.
인도에서 염주를 사오지 마라 그러는데
Although they tell us not to buy rosary from India,
염주 안 사오면
but if I don't buy,
그럼 내가 여러분한테 화장품 사다 줄 것도 없고
then I cannot come, and I cannot buy some cosmetics and also come here. So
염주가 있는데요. 염주 있는데요. 갖고 또 열심히 연주 공부하시다가 주력하시다가 또 내한테 한 개 더 있으면 다른 사람에게 권선 연주
You can also give the rosary to other people. So I bought about 1,000 rosaries.
여러분이
So
좀 하주하시고 이런데 꼭 좀 들어서 감사를 표할 때.
So the place where you give donations, and also if there's a place where you need to show your gratitude, please let me know. Then I will also give the rosary to you. Thank you.